Food bloggers, hi, how are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Eat Blog Talk podcast. This is the place for food bloggers to get information and inspiration to accelerate your blog's growth and ultimately help you to achieve your freedom, whether that's financial, personal, or professional. I'm Megan Porta. I have been a food blogger for 13 years, so I understand how isolating food blogging can be. I'm on a mission to motivate, inspire, and most importantly, let each and every food blogger, including you, know that you are heard and supported. The topic we talk about in this interview is something that I literally have never covered on the podcast before, which is a little bit strange to say, because Canva is a huge part of our lives as food bloggers. I know I'm in there just about every day, if not every day, and you probably are too, so why not have some conversations about it? Brenda Cadman from BrendaCadman.com joins me. She is a Canva verified expert, and she has all kinds of tips for us as far as getting organized inside of the tool. A lot of the stuff she talks about, I did not even know was possible. This episode is going to blow your mind, especially if you're like me and you've got thousands upon thousands of Canva designs sitting in your Canva account. This is going to be a life-changing episode for you like it was for me. It is episode number 530, and it is sponsored by RankIQ. Eat Blog Talk is thrilled to unveil the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group, an exclusive community made for food bloggers who crave accountability, focus, and connection. We understand that not everyone is ready to dive into the Mini Minds group or the Masterminds program. That is why we've crafted this special offering for bloggers like you who want that extra push toward their aspirations but aren't yet able to make the financial or time commitment. Here's what the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group has in store for you for this low introductory price of $34 a month. This ongoing membership has its own private Slack channel. You will gain access to a dedicated channel facilitated by the community manager at Eat Blog Talk, Taryn Soley, for questions, insights, and collaboration. You will get weekly accountability check-ins so you can stay focused and motivated with those weekly check-ins in Slack to track and achieve your goals confidently. You will have access to productivity focus sessions. Join these optional live Zoom sessions twice a week to boost your productivity by working alongside your peers and tapping into that collective energy. And you will get monthly group Zoom calls, replacing the former Clubhouse chats. Join these calls to connect, discuss current topics, share experiences, and celebrate achievements. Those calls will be hosted by me, Megan Porta, and I can't wait to see some of you there. If this sounds intriguing, head over to eatblogtalk.com/focus to sign up today. eatblogtalk.com/focus. Brenda Cadman is a Canva verified expert from Prince Edward Island, Canada. After spending more than 2 decades supporting businesses with their website development needs, she now focuses on teaching small business owners how to use Canva more effectively and efficiently. Brenda has taught thousands of business owners through her courses, and in particular, she loves to help business owners tame their hot mess Canva accounts by creating an organizational system that ensures they can spend less time in Canva and more time doing what they love. Hi, Brenda. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm really well. Thank you for having me.
So excited to chat about Canva. I've never recorded an episode about Canva, which is honestly absurd. So this is very well-timed. Thank you for showing up today with this information.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Before we get into Canva, though, do you have a fun fact to share with us?
Well, it seems particularly relevant today. And I was thinking, what is a fun fact? What is something different than a lot of people with online businesses can't say? And I started my business long before social media existed. And that seems particularly relevant as you and I chat, given that Meta has just gone down worldwide.
I know. I was just saying, I noticed that. And then I saw that it wasn't just me. And I was like, whew.
Hugely relieved, but boy, the universe is giving me signs the last couple of days to diversify and to not just revenue sources, but also platforms that you intend to market on.
It's so true. Yeah, and not just the past few days or weeks, but the past year or two. It's like,
yes.
Okay, wake up call. I need to diversify big time.
Absolutely.
And that's for all of us, I think. Would you mind, Brenda, just starting off by telling us a little bit about your business, your website, when you started? Just give us a little rundown.
Sure. So, as I said, I started my business before social media was a thing. I actually have been not just an online business owner, but an entrepreneur since January 2000. So it's been
Oh,
over 24
wow.
years now, and I've seen things change dramatically. But the majority of that time was spent running a website development company. And I actually just retired that in September 2022. Finally realized that I could not run the Canva education side of my business alongside running a website development agency. It was just too
Mm.
much, and I couldn't do either of them the way that I wanted. And after 22 years, it was absolutely time to let go of that particular business. And now I focus 100% of my time on creating Canva content and providing Canva organization and kind of digital storage organization and decluttering kinds of services.
We need you. I am so glad you showed up in my life because this is honestly a huge pain point that I think a lot of us don't address. It's just something we trudge along carrying because I personally don't know how to handle my mess. I love Canva. Okay, let me start by saying that. I love it. It's the most amazing tool. I'm a graphic designer by trade, and it makes my graphic design life easier. I can imagine if you're not a graphic designer by trade, that it makes your life even easier because you don't
Yes.
have any sort of design background. It's like this magical thing where you can pick designs and templates and fonts and oh my gosh, you name it, and put it into place and create an amazing design in just a couple of minutes. So with that said, I love Canva, but Brenda, my Canva account is a mess. Please help.
You are in very good company. And what I find is that, it's particularly those folks who are kind of power users of the platform that suffer from this malady the
Yes.
most, because you are creating so much content. You're probably some of the most frequent people to get those badges, those certification notification things that say you've created 1,000 designs, 2,000 designs. And you're like, great. It's all in a big pile in my account and I can't
Yes.
find the things that I need. So it is important to actually use some of the features that are available in Canva that a lot of people don't realize are even there in terms of creating essentially a Canva filing cabinet, in order to be able to use that platform more quickly, more easily, and not go down. I mean, it's fun to go down the Canva rabbit hole, but you have a lot of other things you need to be doing, not just creating content in Canva. So figuring out a system that's going to help you locate the designs and images you need as fast as possible so you can get in, create what you need, get out, and go do the other things important in your business to move the needle in your business. I think it's really important that it's not the sexy side of Canva, but it's a really critical piece of it in order to use the platform effectively.
So if you are one of those people like myself who has literally thousands of designs sitting in Canva, but I do yearn for that organization, where do I start with everything?
I usually like to recommend a purge to start with. I
Oh.
think I'm not sure if that was an O of aha or an O
I
of
don't know what it
oh
was
no.
either.
I don't want to do that. And this is really that first stage, I think, is where folks get really overwhelmed. And if you look at your Canva account and your first response, if you feel your body just kind of sink down and it's contracting, it's not expanding with excitement at the idea of finally cleaning things up. For some folks, it makes more sense to just create a folder structure moving forward and tackle the old stuff in bits and pieces as you can, as you have the mental bandwidth and the emotional bandwidth to deal with it. But if you do have the interest in actually getting this cleaned up and essentially getting your Canva projects section to inbox zero, it's important to do the deleting and the archiving. If you think about your Canva account and all those designs and images, kind of like a physical office space, if you had piles and piles of paper, if you're decluttering a filing cabinet, you're pulling everything out. You don't want to be creating folders for stuff that is garbage or stuff that you just no longer, maybe it needs to go in some sort of reference library, but it is not something you're going to need access to for your day-to-day life potentially. There's no point in trying to create an organizational structure for things that don't really need to be organized. So doing that initial deleting and archiving, going through and finding, the copies of designs you thought you would need and then you didn't need, or templates that you thought, oh, maybe I'll use that someday, and now you realize you're just hoarding them and you don't need them. You can delete those, or just the really old designs. We all have them from the beginning of our Canva days where we look at them and they make us physically cringe because
Yes.
they're the last thing we're going to use on our marketing now. And unless you're holding on to some of those for nostalgia purposes, which I can also understand, that's kind of a fun little walk down memory lane. Those are things that you can let go of. And the things that you think you might need future reference to, or you just want to hang on to because you're not sure, maybe you will need it possibly down the road, creating a folder called Archive. I know I've talked to one business owner who called hers the attic, and just putting all of those old designs and images there. So they're there if you need to go trudging along and finding them at some point. But if you find that after a year you have not needed any of them, you're probably going to feel more comfortable and confident actually deleting them and letting them go. And then once you've deleted everything, then you can start looking at what's left. How does this chunk down into categories, and what sort of folder structure is going to make sense to organize these?
I love that idea of just creating just one folder called Archive or whatever you want to call it, and just dumping everything there and taking out as needed and kind of starting fresh. That feels really good to me because I am a Canva hoarder. I love that you use the word hoarder. Yep, that's me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I might actually consider doing this. And then once I do the Archive folder, how do I categorize after that?
So after that, it really is going to be on a very individual basis. There's no one size fits all kind of response. And I know folks just sometimes want to be told, tell me what my folder structure is and I can just put it together. And that's, when we end up working together sometimes if they really need the guidance on that. But what I will say is that there are certain kinds of folders that I think every business owner is going to need, and certainly bloggers. You're going to need a folder for images. A lot of people are just uploading everything, all their images into that uploads folder. That is not a good plan. I am a staunch believer that stop using that uploads folder because it becomes this bottomless pit of images. There's no organization in there. I do VIP days for organization. And so I've been inside some pretty big accounts and inside those uploads folders. And there's literally upwards of 2,000 images sometimes in these folders. And I will find the same set of client photos or brand photo shoot images over and over, like multiple times, because they could not find them any of the half dozen times they previously uploaded them. So it's faster to go find them again on their computer and re-upload them rather than try to find them in their uploads folder. So creating a custom folder called images and then breaking that down into subfolders for different, subfolder categories, whether that's by topic or by, if you have had styled stock imagery, maybe one of the folders will be broken down by the source website, for example. Everybody's going to be a little bit different in terms of what they're organizing and how they intuitively look for information. But I think it's important to get those images out of uploads, get them into a custom folder system, which you can then access through the projects tab in your design editor. And it's going to be a lot easier to find that specific sushi image that you want if you have some sort of category system that enables you to find it more quickly. So that right there, big job to undertake, but massive time saver going forward.
Okay, I don't even really know what you're talking about. So, I do, because I have a massive upload situation going on here. I'm looking at it right now, and it's exactly what you described. Thousands and thousands of images. I'm sure a lot of them duplicates. So you're saying to take these images and to move them to a folder.
Yes, I am saying go to your project section and create a custom folder called, which you can do in the top right corner that says add new. I believe they keep changing the language a little bit, but if you add a new folder, you can create one called images and then open that new folder and maybe create one called what would be a type of food that images you might have related to,
or maybe social media or Pinterest pins or something like that.
So we're talking specifically about images, so not designs.
Okay. So a type of image. So maybe a type of food or pizza or pasta or something like that.
There you go. Perfect. Pizza. Let's use that. So you might have a folder called images, and then within that, there might be a subfolder called pizza. Now you're able to nest folders 10 levels deep. So you're going to be able to create whatever filing system you need in order to support this. So if you had a top level folder and then a category and then another subcategory and another subcategory, even if you went multiple levels down in order to create a filing system that's going to make it easier for you to find those images later, you're going to have 10 levels to work with. So that's going to give you a fair bit of depth. Again, everybody's particular structure of that is going to look a little bit different. But once you've created those folders, if you go to uploads, you can bulk select images either by hovering over them and then checking them off, or you can drag to select them now. That's a functionality that Canva introduced in September 2023. It's still relatively new enough that a lot of people don't realize that you can do this now, where you can just click and drag to select multiple images. And then you can, you'll see there's a little folder icon that appears at the bottom middle of the page when you have your item selected, and you can click on that folder icon and you can tell it where you want it to go. So you can move it. And then in the future, just make a point of uploading those images directly into the custom folder instead of into uploads first.
Okay, this is mind-blowing, and you have just changed my life. I'm not kidding. This is so cool. I didn't know that you could move files out of the upload area, this nightmare of a mess that I have here.
Most people don't. It is, even those who are fairly prolific users of the platform and consider themselves very advanced, this is often one piece that they've never thought about doing it this way or didn't realize they could do it. And it's going to change your life in terms of the time you spend looking for images.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to do this. I'm really excited. Okay, what other ways can Canva change our lives? What other organization tips do you have?
That's my gold nugget right there. That's a good one.
You've got to have more, though.
Some other folders you might want to have. Definitely, you're going to have a social media a folder. Within that, you might have it broken down by platform. Maybe you have one that is Pinterest and all your pins are in there. And maybe your pins are broken down by year. Again, really depends on how you look for information. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. What works for me may not work for somebody else. And the purpose of this is not to have a system that somebody else could use. It's to make sure that it's a system that you and your team can use effectively. So I would say look at all of the content you've got. What are you creating? Think about what are those big chunks of categories and start there, and then work on creating subfolders as you need them. It's hard to kind of know the perfect system right from the beginning. It's going to take some modification, certainly, in order to figure out what works for you.
Looks like I've actually created some folders, which is surprising to me. I didn't know I did this, but I'm considering maybe just taking everything that I've created, putting it in archive like we talked about, creating new folders, starting to go through those uploads and organize those, because I'm sure that takes up so much room just re-uploading photos over and over, right? It's unnecessary.
You have storage to keep in mind. If you're on a free plan, a Canva free plan, you're only going to have 5 gigabytes of space, which if you have a lot of images is going to be eaten up very, very quickly. You have a terabyte of space on a Canva Pro plan, which is going to be a significant amount of space. I have never maxed that out. I don't know anybody who has maxed that out, but it is still, it's a consideration in terms of the storage space, although the weight that it's putting on your time is really more of my concern.
Hello there, food bloggers. Are you wanting to tap into additional revenue and improve your site experience for your users? If you're saying yes to all of this, then Chicory might be a really great fit for you. Chicory is a leading monetization platform for food bloggers, enabling you to integrate highly relevant, shoppable ads into your recipe content and earn revenue from top CPG brands. Chicory's hyper-contextual ads and shoppable technology will help you improve your site experience and engagement, allowing your readers to go from inspiration to checkout in just a few clicks. Enjoy easy installation and ongoing access to the Chicory team at zero cost to you. Chicory makes it easy to track your earnings, optimize your blog content using recipe insights, and connect with its team. Here is a testimonial from a happy Chicory user. Quote, "Cooking and baking is my passion. Chicory makes it simple and easy for me to share that passion with the Where is My Spoon audience, providing a seamless purchasing journey for my readers and an effective monetization model for my blog." End quote. That is from Adina Beck from Where is My Spoon. Head over to eatblogtalk.com/resources, scroll down to the Chicory logo, and click that button that says Learn More About Chicory. Or you can go to chicory.co/food bloggers to learn more and to sign up. Now back to the episode. And then you can also star folders, is that right? And
Yes.
so they show up over on that left panel?
Correct. You can star folders. This is different than the starring functionality that exists that is more like favoriting things. So you can also star templates, you can star, elements, icons, photos, things like that. Those will all appear in your starred folder, which is one of the default folders Canva provides in projects. So if you do see something when you're, exploring and spelunking in the Canva Elements library that you think you might want to use at a later date, you can star those and have that there. You can also save images that you want to refer to later into a custom folder system if you want to be able to have a little more categorization. If you have a lot of patterns or icons or photos that you think you might want to refer to later that are actually in Canva's library and you're not going to be able to organize them the way you would a traditional photo that you've uploaded, you can still, if you see it, hover over the three dots, and then you'll see something that allows you to save it to a custom folder. So I do encourage looking at that as well if you have a lot of content that you're referring to on a regular basis, especially if you maybe have reference designs that you've created in order to be able to quickly find those things. You can create a filing system instead to organize that. But that's one type of starring system. The folder starring is exactly what you said. It's a way of pinning designs, favoriting folders rather, not designs, that you want to be able to have easy access to right from your Canva homepage on the left-hand side. And it'll just pin them to the bottom of the menu on the left-hand navigation. And then if you no longer need it, you can unstar it and it'll go away. It's not deleting it, it's just removing it from your favorites.
I love this. Is going to be a game changer for me too. I didn't know that you could do that just being in the elements section. There are certain shapes and backgrounds that I use all the time. So I can just click those three dots and star it, and then it'll show right up. Oh my goodness, this is great. Okay, and then I had one more question as I was looking out here. Oh, just the thought I had was an idea for a project folder to start, which could be like logos. If you use a lot of logos for designs, you could just do like brand logos or something like that. I feel like I'm always uploading the same logos to that poor uploads section when I don't need to do that.
And actually, what I'm going to suggest for branding, for organizing your branding, is don't use custom folders for that. Use the brand kits feature. Now, this is a pro feature specifically. This is hands down. This is the one thing that gets most folks who are using Canva for any sort of business capacity. If you're making money from your business, usually you're going to have some sort of branding that you're doing, whether it's logo or color palettes or something like that. Creating your Canva brand kit is going to make sure that your logos, your color palette, your fonts, your brand imagery, including, your photos and your icons and your graphics, that it's all at hand within that brand area. So could you do it in custom folders? You could for the image content, but not for the fonts and for the color palettes. But this way, if you have it in the brand area, you're going to have all of that ready to go. And again, you're not going to have to go searching for hex color values or
I do it every time.
Exactly. It's a big savings. And I think it's important a lot of the times. We all have way too many subscriptions. And I know that, I regularly will review and try to declutter my own kinds of online subscriptions that I have. It's like, am I really getting value from this? Am I really using this? Even if it's a $7 a month membership, am I using this? Or, is this just money I'm throwing away? I'm happy to spend the money on things that I'm getting value from. And I will say that while Canva has one of the most robust free platforms I have seen in terms of what it includes and what you're capable of creating, and there are a lot of people who will only ever need the free plan, I would say if you're doing anything with that requires branding or that requires you quickly resizing and repurposing content, for example, a pin to an Instagram-sized image, there are features in that pro plan that are going to be huge time savers. So it's a matter of thinking about, okay, how much is this costing me, but how much time am I clawing back? And what is my time worth? And what can I do with that time that would easily make that money back many times over?
And the cost of Canva for a year is not a huge investment. Honestly, it's just over $100 to pay for that pro plan. I can't remember exactly how much it is right now, but like you said, it is so worth it in the time that you're going to get back. The resizing 100%. Thing I've used so many times. I love that feature. I'm trying to see what it's called exactly. It's the feature that allows you to schedule to social media.
Their content planner?
Content planner. I didn't even know this existed until like a year ago. I found it kind of by accident, I think. And it's amazing. It's robust. It's reliable. It's something that a lot of food bloggers don't even know about, honestly.
I would hazard a guess that there's a lot of features in Canva that a lot of people don't know about simply because they are iterating regularly. They are adding completely new features. They are refining features that already exist. Certainly, they've been putting a lot of time and energy and effort into their AI features. So Canva's Magic Studio is certainly an area that's a lot of fun to play with. And again, a lot of those features are only available on the Pro plan as well. But they have things like Magic Edit and Magic Grab and Magic Erase and all of these things that just give you a lot more control over creating the specific kinds of imagery that you're looking for. It gives you a lot more flexibility in your design process. Are those absolutely necessary and foundational to being able to create professional looking content in Canva? No, they are definitely nice to haves. I can survive without Magic Edit. But it's nice sometimes to be able to go, well, I love this picture, but what if I just wanted to replace that, vase in the background of that image with a stack of books instead? I don't know why I'd want to, but you can do that quickly within the platform. It just gives you a little more creative control.
Something really cool. So I haven't used this in like real life. I've just experimented because I thought it looked cool. If you do the resize and magic switch, you can take any size of a document in Canva and you can just, like I'm looking right now, browse by category, click on social media. Okay, I want to create from this document that looks like a presentation. I can just click Instagram Reel and continue, and it turns it into an Instagram Reel. Like it completely resizes it. It's so crazy.
You can even do things like I will sometimes work in whiteboards. I've done trainings and presentations and things where we've been walking through the collaboration features that are available in Canva if you're working with a team. And whiteboards are definitely a part of that. And one of the trainings we did was talking about a writer's room and how they'd done all this kind of planning around timelines and things for this series that they were creating. And then we showed them how if they did all this brainstorming in the whiteboard, they were then able to convert it to, a different kind of document. I'm trying to remember. I think we transformed it to a blog summary or something like that. Oh. And all of a sudden it took all that information and just put it into a more usable format. So Transform will also give you access to translating capabilities if you wanted to translate something into another language. Be careful with that because unless you can validate whether or not it's accurate, you may want to be cautious with that. But my understanding is that it does a pretty good job. So there's all these different ways to save time that will allow you to repurpose content. And I think for a lot of online business owners, I mean, our time, yes, we want to save budgets as well, but the time is that one resource that we just can't get more of. And we need to be able to do more with the time that we have. So there are some of these features like the resizing and the, all these different kinds of repurposing features that really do allow us to create more content in less time.
It's so true. I was just looking at the app section. I hadn't looked at this in a while.
That's a big old rabbit hole.
It is. So you can do like mock-ups. So if you do anything where maybe you're displaying something on a smartphone, or it looks like they have a mug for an example, or like on a monitor, it's really cool what you can do in here and super easily.
Yeah, the app section, I mean, there's a lot of third-party apps in there. Some, the quality is questionable in my humble opinion, but the actual native Canva apps, so that Mockups one, for example, that was initially when it was first introduced, it was a Smart Mockups, the Smart Mockups brand, an integration from their platform, and I believe Canva bought them. So it was integrated actually into one of their own apps. And it's very robust in terms of what you can create. Any kind of mock-up you think you might possibly want to put one of your Canva designs on or a logo on, you can mock that up in that area. That's a fun play. That's definitely a higher quality app. But again, I would say form follows function. Figure out what you actually want something to do, what you need it to do, rather than finding ways to fit bells and whistles into your designs. Start with what am I trying to create? What's the purpose of creating this? What am I trying to do in my business? And then create according to that, as opposed to going the other direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I have to mention this too, because I think a lot of food bloggers might find value in this section, the product photos.
Yes.
It looks like you can just knock out the background pretty easily. Is that right?
I will say that I haven't experimented in that area a whole lot, but I do know that they are definitely highlighting that when you go to the app section. It's usually pinned there right on the left-hand side. So that's worth a play.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, anything that we're missing that you feel would help us to organize or streamline our businesses?
I mean, ultimately, it's just a matter of carving out the time to do it. I know that the organization piece can feel completely overwhelming, depending how long you've been using Canva. If you're new to it, it's a perfect time to set up your system before you do feel overwhelmed by all the content that you're ultimately going to create. But I would, give yourself grace. If you are a veteran user of the platform and it just feels like, oh my goodness, there's no way I'm going to be able to conquer this hot mess. It's just, I'm just going to have to start from scratch. You can. It may take some time. And if you're somebody who likes to, knock it out as a single day or two project, go do what works for you and your own energy levels. If you prefer to, chip away at it over time, that works too. Set a time in your calendar or your project management tool to tackle it 15, 20 minutes here and there, but just do it consistently. And then once you do have it under control, even the best system, if it's not maintained, is going to fall apart. So staying on top of it, whether that's at the end of the day, just quickly filing away anything you've created, or carving out a bit of time once a week to do that. Again, it depends how much content you're creating and how often you need to do that, but creating those, a little better Canva organization hygiene, as it were.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of time to create those habits, but it is going to save you a lot of time and frustration in the future.
And you mentioned before, I think it was before we started to record, that you would listen to my decluttering episode recently.
I did.
So I would say go back and listen to that episode. It was published very recently here in,
I think it's episode 502.
502-ish. Okay. Go listen to that, and you can incorporate this whole plan of organizing Canva into that decluttering if you are compelled to do that. I think this falls in perfectly. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And then, I was also going to say one more thing that came to mind as you were talking. If you have a VA or somebody who helps you, maybe you could set up a system where it's like on Fridays, go into Canva and kind of organize, right? So that they could take care of it for you. So it's a regular thing and you're not constantly going in feeling overwhelmed by your Canva designs.
Absolutely. 100%. I'm glad you brought that up, because if you are feeling kind of, a little bit paralyzed when you're looking at doing this, you need to provide the guidance of what the folder structure looks like, but you don't necessarily have to be the one to actually move the things into the folders. So as long as, if your VA or your OBM is going to be actually searching for content, if you have any team members who are going to need to be able to find things in your Canva account, then you definitely want to make sure that the structure you're creating, the organizational folder structure you're creating, is something that doesn't work just for you, but it works for other people as well. But if you have team members who can take this off your plate, work with them to figure out what that structure looks like, understanding that you may need to refine it over time if it's not working for you. But it gives you a starting point. They can get it cleaned up. Certainly they can at least tackle that uploads folder and start providing some categorization and organization to your images. And then it's going to feel a lot more doable if you have a smaller project to review, rather than thousands of images and designs that just kind of are a great big pile.
I didn't even know that this was clutter in my mind, but it definitely is. And you brought this to light, and I'm just so grateful for this inspiration. I'm totally going to tackle this in the coming weeks. So thank you so much, Brenda. This was so valuable.
I'm happy to be of service.
I am glad that Canva is your thing and that you showed up today to talk about it. Do you have either a favorite quote or words of inspiration to leave us with?
I'm not a big quotes person, but there is kind of a little saying that has been a bit of my mantra in recent months and not years. It's something I'm working on constantly, but maybe it's been benefiting me and maybe it'll benefit somebody else. And that is, don't overcomplicate it. I fall into the trap of constantly overcomplicating things. Oh, the blog post is not quite right yet. I've got to get just the perfect screenshot for it, or whatever it is. Things don't have to be as complicated as we are probably making them most of the time. And, progress over perfection, get it out there, get it done. And, it can be easy.
Yeah.
You can give yourself, you can let the ease into it. We don't have to work quite so hard as we probably are doing so. So stop overcomplicating it.
That is a lesson that I've been learning as well, too. And actually, I have a Post-it note right here that says this very thing. So we are in alignment with that, Brenda. So glad you mentioned all of that. We'll put together a show notes page for you. If you want to go peek at those, head to eatblogtalk.com/Brenda Cadman. Tell everyone where they can find you, Brenda, and also mention anything you're offering right now.
Sure. If you want to find me and all my offers, just going to brendacadman.com is the best place to go. And if you are interested in tackling your Canva clutter, I do have a free Canva organization roadmap that'll take you through kind of a 5-step process that you can use to start, knocking away at that buildup of designs and images. And that is on the website, but you can find it directly at brendacadman.com/roadmap.
Everyone go check that out. Thank you again, Brenda, so much for being here. And thank you for listening, food bloggers. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Eat Blog Talk. Please share this episode with a friend who would benefit from tuning in. I will see you next time.